Okay, a good pie crust is the foundation to any pie. This is one of my very favorite things to make, so I'm excited to show you how I make mine. Okay, so I have 2.5 cups of flour. Into that, I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of sugar and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I'm gonna get that all sifted together. That just kind of helps mix the ingredients, and it makes sure that you have no lumps in your flour. Okay, so I have 4 tablespoons of shortening that I've cut into cubes, and 1.5 sticks of butter, cold butter, that I've cut into cubes. Okay, and so then what you're gonna do after that is I like to take a pastry cutter. Now you can use 2 knives and cut the butter and shortening into the flour, but I just like to use a pastry cutter just because it's simpler. And you can do this step in a food processor, but to me, I just think this turns out better. So I'm gonna get this all cut into my flour until it's like a coarse cornmeal type consistency. Okay, so I've got all the butter and shortening cut into the flour, and then I take 1/2 cup of really cold water, and I put an ice cube in it to help keep it cool, because you want your water to be really cold. So I'm gonna drizzle some of that in there and stir it up. And you're just gonna add the water until the dough starts coming together. Say 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup, but most of the time I end up using 1/2 cup. And again, you can do this part in a food processor. I just like doing it by hand. Looks like it needs a little bit more water. And sometimes it does that. It really just kind of depends on humidity. I don't know why. Okay, that looks better. So you want it to start forming like a dough consistency. Okay, and get in here with my hands. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna form this into 2 discs, because this recipe makes two pie crusts. Okay, so then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in saran wrap. I'm gonna form it into a disc and press it flat. And then I put it in the refrigerator for about 20 to 30 minutes until it gets cool and sets. Okay, so let's get this pie crust rolled out. So what you're gonna wanna do is start with a little flour on your surface. This is actually my favorite part. Okay, and I'm gonna flour a little on the top of the pie crust. I'm also gonna flour my rolling pin. That way that it doesn't stick. Okay, so what I have found, if you just start lightly rolling it out, and it's gonna look like it's starting to break apart a little bit, but really that's just because there's just layers in the pie crust, and then that's what makes it flaky. You don't want to press too hard. You just kind of want to like really roll it out. And the pie pan I'm going to use is a 9-inch pie pan. So I'm going to want to roll this out probably about 11 inches or so. You probably can't tell it on the camera, but as you start to roll it out, you can see the little pockets of butter. And that's what helps make your pie crust flaky. Okay, let me add a little more. and then how to measure if it's the right size, you just put your pie plate over it, and if it hangs over enough, which I'm gonna roll it a little bit more. Okay. Now, this is my trick to getting my pie crust into my pie plate. Oh, which it's sticking a little bit, but that's okay. I'm gonna put it, so you just roll it onto the rolling pin, and then you roll it out into your pie crust, and then you just kind of, or pie plate, and you just get it evenly distributed. Now, a lot of people trim the edges of their pie crust, but I don't. I just go around and tuck it under like that, because I just think it looks more rustic. And why waste pie crust? Well, this side's a little heavy. Let me get that off of there. This is one of my very favorite things to make, and it is a labor of love, but it's worth it. Okay, so this is how, so I press it into the pan, and then this is how I crimp my pie crust. This is how my mom showed me to do it, and so I just always do it this way. So I'm just going around, making sure all the edges are pulled in. Okay, so what you're gonna do is pinch it and pull it towards you, and with your thumb, you're gonna push away from you, okay? And there's lots of different ways that you can crimp your pie crust, but this is just how I do mine. So easy. I mean, it is a lot of work, but at the same time, it's very easy. It's very rewarding because you're gonna come out with a delicious pie. Let me grab a fork. Okay, so just to vent the pie, I always just put a few holes with the fork on the bottom and around the edges. And there we have it. So this is, you can use this with any pie recipe, and if you need a baked pie shell, you're gonna bake this at 425 for 12 to 15 minutes. This is how I make my pie crust. I'm so excited to share it with y'all. Let me know how you love it in the comments.